I'd only been at Tony's Pizza for a couple of weeks when that order came in. The address was in a nice suburban neighborhood with manicured lawns and wooden swing sets. I pulled up to find this woman on the porch screaming into her phone. Her face was red and she was waving her free hand frantically.
I don't care what your mother said, Brian. You promised you'd be here by noon.
Her little daughter, who was maybe 5 or 6 years old, was riding circles on a pink tricycle in the driveway, completely clueless about her mom's meltdown. I grabbed the pizza and walked up. The woman barely looked at me, just held up one finger, mouthed a second, and kept yelling.
No, you listen to me. I'm sick of your pathetic excuses.
I stood there, holding the pizza, trying not to listen. That's when I noticed the black van parked maybe 3 houses down. It was an older model with tinted windows. I didn't think much of it at first, but when I looked closer, I saw this guy in a hoodie sitting in the driver's seat, drumming his fingers on the steering wheel. His eyes were glued to the little girl. Dread crawled at my nape as I looked at the kid, then back at the van, and at the mom still yelling into her phone. The woman finally ended her call and came toward me, digging through her purse.
Sorry about that. How much?
$18.50.
I answered, still watching the van.
Ma'am, I think you should bring your daughter inside. There's a man down the street watching her.
The woman looked up and scrunched her nose.
What are you talking about?
I pointed at the van.
That black van. There's a man inside watching her. I really think you should—
Oh my God. Mind your own business.
She snapped, shoving a 20 at me.
Keep the change.
She grabbed the pizza and went inside, slamming the door hard behind her. The little girl was still playing and humming to herself. I lingered a bit with the keys in my hand, contemplating what to do. The woman had basically told me to fuck off, but the van was still sitting there with a shady-looking guy in it. I sighed and got back into my car, but couldn't turn it on. Instead, I sat there and watched the little girl. She'd gotten off her tricycle and was playing with chalk now. 5 minutes went by and he didn't move. But just when I turned on the engine, I saw the van open up. The man got out. He was big, maybe 6'2", wearing jeans and a black neck gaiter pulled up over his face beneath the hoodie. He walked toward the house, real casual, like he lived there or something. My heart started pounding. When he got close to the girl, he crouched down and pulled a chocolate bar from his pocket. She looked up at him and smiled, kind of shy. That's when he grabbed her and clamped a hand over her mouth. She tried to kick and scream as he started hurrying toward the van. I didn't even think before throwing the door open. I ran across the lawn and yelled,
Hey! Get away from her!
His head snapped violently toward me. The kid was crying and trying to get away, but he was too strong, and the van was only a couple feet away. My mouth dried. I had to do something.
Help! Somebody help!
I was sprinting as fast as I could. He broke into a full run, still holding onto her arm. She was screaming. Her little feet were dragging across the pavement. The van door was wide open, waiting. I was about 10 feet away when I saw a rock on the ground. I grabbed it and threw it as hard as I could. I nailed him in the shoulder and he stumbled. His hand slipped just enough for her to yank free.
Run! Go to your house!
I yelled. The girl ran for the door, sobbing. The dude snarled at me. For a second, I thought he was about to come after me, but he took off for the van instead, jumped in and floored it. I tried to see the license plate, but it was all covered in mud. The van disappeared around the corner, and I just stood there, shaking. The front door flew open and the mom came running out. She grabbed her daughter and just broke down right there in the yard. Neighbors started coming out too. They asked what happened. I told them everything and someone called 911. The cops showed up pretty fast. They took everyone's statements, asked for descriptions, and checked the neighbor's security cameras. One of the cameras caught the van pulling away, but only part of the plate was visible. The officer told me they'd been getting reports about a black van cruising neighborhoods. This was the first time someone actually spotted it. "You saved that girl's life," he said. If you hadn't been paying attention, she'd be gone. The mom wouldn't stop crying and apologizing. She kept hugging me, saying she should have listened, that it was very irresponsible of her. She had never thought something could happen right in her own yard. They caught him a week later, trying the same thing 30 miles away. He had a record for child abduction going back 15 years. Police said that based on what they found in his van, the girl would have been his 8th victim. I still have nightmares about what almost happened. In them, I listen to the mom instead of my gut. I tell myself it's none of my business and drive away. And later, I see the news of a little girl missing from her front yard while her mom was inside. And I lie awake, wondering what they might have done to her, what that little soul might have gone through, all because I decided to mind my own business. I've had this speech impediment since I was a kid. It gets worse when I'm nervous or tired, which means my late-night pizza delivery job was basically a nightmare. But I needed the money to get better. Speech therapy isn't cheap, and my parents were already stretched thin helping my sister with college. Most customers were cool about it. Some were impatient, a few were rude, but I'd gotten used to that. What I wasn't used to was what happened on a Thursday night last November. The order came in at around 10:30, a large pepperoni with extra cheese to 847 Maple Street. I'd never been to that side of town before. It was one of those houses at the very edge of the city where the street lights stop and everything gets darker. I pulled up at around 11. The house looked normal enough. It was 2 stories, a bit old and run down. A single light was on in what looked like the living room. I grabbed the pizza and walked up to the porch. A woman answered on the second knock. She was maybe in her 40s, wearing a bathrobe. Her smile was too wide, like she'd been waiting by the door.
Oh, wonderful, you're here. Come in. I need to grab my wallet.
I should have said no and told her I'd rather wait outside like we're supposed to, but she was already heading back into the house and I was taught to be polite, so I stepped inside. The rotten smell hit me immediately. It was sweet and sickly, like garbage sitting in the heat too long. I tried not to gag. Sorry, I could just wait on the porch. I called after her, breathing through my mouth to avoid the stink. She turned around, stared at me from head to toe. Sadness flickered in her eyes as she smiled.
Oh, you have a stutter. That must be hard, especially with a job like this.
It's fine. I'm working on it, doing speech therapy.
That's wonderful. You're gonna get better. Let me get you a proper tip then. You deserve it for all that hard work.
Her smile grew wider. She disappeared into the house. I stayed by the door, counting seconds. The smell was unbearable. I figured maybe she had plumbing issues or forgot to take out the trash for a while. Suddenly, a camera flash blinded me. I blinked, seeing spots, and she was suddenly on the stairs with a Polaroid camera, giggling.
Sorry. I just love taking photos of my visitors. You have such a kind face.
I really need to go, I said, my heart racing.
Of course. Let me just grab your money.
She came downstairs and placed the Polaroid on a stand right next to the stair and disappeared into the kitchen. I should have run right there. I should have left the pizza and gotten out, but I was frozen, watching the Polaroid develop on the stand where she'd set it. My wide-eyed, scared face stared back at me. She came back holding a wad of cash.
Here you go, sweetie. $50. That should help you with those therapy sessions.
I took the money with a shaking hand, mumbling thanks. I was desperate to leave, but as I turned, she grabbed my wrist. Her grip was stronger than it should have been.
You know what's funny?
She said, and her voice wasn't cheerful anymore. It was flat and sounded dead.
My husband used to have a stammer too. Just like you.
Tears were suddenly streaming down her face, but she was smiling. I'm sorry, I really need to...
He left me last month. He said I was too clingy.
She was imitating a stammer now, mocking it.
But he didn't leave. He's still here.
I tried to pull away, but she held on tighter, her nails digging into my skin.
He's downstairs. Would you like to meet him? He's very quiet now.
She was crying and laughing at the same time. The combination made my skin crawl. I yanked my arm free hard enough that she stumbled backward. I didn't stop to see if she was okay. I ran for the door, threw it open, and sprinted to my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the keys in the ignition. As I pulled away, I saw her standing in the doorway, still laughing and waving. I drove straight to the pizza place and told my manager I was done for the night. He took one look at my face and didn't argue. I didn't call the cops. What would I say? That some weird lady gave me a big tip and said creepy things and she smelled bad? They'd think I was overreacting. But 3 days later, it was all over the news. A woman at 847 Maple Street had been arrested after police received a complaint about a foul smell coming from the property. They'd found her husband's body in the basement. He'd been dead for over a month. The news showed her photo, and my heart stopped. It was her. The reporter said she'd been having a breakdown after her husband tried to leave her. She'd hit him with a lamp during an argument, killed him, then refused to accept he was dead. She kept talking to him, bringing him meals, having full conversations with his corpse in the basement. Police found she'd been ordering delivery to the house regularly, but she always made the delivery people wait on the porch. I was the only one who'd been inside for weeks. They found my Polaroid in her collection, along with dozens of others from months before, back when she used to invite people in more often, before the smell got bad enough that she had to stop. The detectives said if I'd gone downstairs with her that night, there's a good chance I wouldn't have made it back out. I quit the pizza delivery job that same week. My manager understood. I still have nightmares about that smell, about her laugh, about how close I came to going downstairs when she asked. Sometimes I wake up convinced I can hear that high-pitched giggling outside my window. The $50 tip is still in my drawer. I've never spent it, just can't bring myself to touch it. It happened on a Wednesday in October. Mark, my husband, manages Tony's Pizza downtown and was working late doing inventory that evening. My 7-year-old Liam and I were having dinner when the doorbell rang. I glanced at the clock. It was 7:30. When I looked through the peephole, Dylan, one of Mark's recent recruits, was standing there with a pizza box. I'd met him a couple of times and knew him as this quiet and polite guy who never really caused any trouble.
Hey, Dylan.
I said, opening the door.
Mark's still at work if you're looking for him.
I know.
He replied with a smile that looked tight.
He sent this for you guys. It's on the house.
I didn't remember Mark saying anything about pizza, but it wasn't weird. Sometimes he sent leftovers home.
Oh, thanks.
I said, reaching for the box. Only Dylan didn't let go. That's when I noticed his bloodshot eyes and that faint reek of alcohol. But before I could shut the door, Dylan shoved his way inside. I stumbled back, more confused than scared.
What are you doing?
He slammed the door and threw the pizza box on the floor.
Your husband fired me today, said I was stealing.
My heart started pounding.
Dylan, you need to leave. Right now.
Stealing?
He laughed, throwing his head back.
I took $40, Sarah, because my power was getting shut off. Your dear Mark fired me over $40, called me a thief in front of everyone.
I'm sorry, but that has nothing...
He grabbed my hair and yanked me backward. I screamed as the pain shot through my scalp like fire. He slapped me across the face so hard that everything went white for a second.
Quiet, witch!
He hit me again, making me taste blood in my mouth.
Mommy!
Liam's voice rang from the kitchen doorway as he came running in.
Run, Liam! Go!
I screamed, but my baby had frozen in place. His face was white as a sheet, and and he was still holding his juice box. Dylan dragged me toward the living room by my hair. I tried fighting, but he was so much bigger and stronger. He threw me against the wall, and I hit it hard. My shoulder exploded with pain.
This is your fault,
He kept saying.
your husband's fault. You're gonna pay.
He pulled a gun from his jacket and pointed it at my face.
Dylan, please. Please don't. I have a son.
And I'd a life before your husband destroyed it.
That's when Liam moved. He ran at Dylan, screaming.
Leave my mommy alone!
He hit Dylan's legs, kicked and punched with everything he had. Dylan stumbled, and I tried to make it to the door, but he caught himself fast.
You little brat!
He yelled and pushed Liam so hard his head hit the corner of the coffee table with a crack. He rolled onto the floor and didn't move. Blood started pooling beneath his head.
Liam! Baby, please. Wake up.
I screamed, crawling to him, but there was so much blood. Dylan looked down at what he'd done and panicked.
I didn't mean... I just pushed him. Oh, God.
He bolted out the door, leaving it wide open. With shaking hands, I grabbed my phone and called 911. The dispatcher tried calming me down, but I could barely breathe. Still, I pressed my hands against the wound on Liam's head, trying to stop the bleeding. His eyes were closed. His little body was still.
Stay with me, baby. Please stay with Mommy.
I whispered, hiccuping. The ambulance came fast. Paramedics took over while I just stood there, covered in his blood. They lifted him onto a stretcher and I climbed in beside him, holding his hand. One of them kept talking about skull fracture, brain injury, but it barely made sense. At the hospital, doctors rushed him into surgery. Mark showed up terrified, and I collapsed into his arms, telling him everything through sobs. Police came and took my statement, promised they'd find Dylan. Around midnight, the doctor came out. Your son's in a coma. The head trauma was severe. We've done everything we can. Let's just hope for a miracle. I sat by Liam's bed for 3 days straight, holding his hand, talking to him, and begging him to come back. Mark brought food I couldn't eat, clothes I barely changed. The nurses tried to make me rest, but I couldn't leave. On the third day, the police came back. They'd found Dylan in some alley 2 towns over, passed out drunk. He was arrested, charged with assault and attempted murder. He'd go to prison a long time. I sat by Liam's bedside, his tiny hand limp in mine. A beeping of the monitors the only sign that he was still here with me. My throat ached from whispering prayers that never seemed to reach anywhere. The room smelled of antiseptic and fear. I brushed his hair off his forehead, my voice trembling.
The one who hurt you is behind bars now, baby. Please, come back to us.
For a moment, there was nothing, just silence and the hum of machines. Then, I felt it. His little fingers twitched against my palm. My heart stopped.
Liam?
I breathed. His eyelids fluttered. His chest rose shakily. And then those familiar eyes met mine.
Mommy?
He whispered, his voice small and broken.
Are you safe now?
I didn't realize I was crying until my tears fell onto his hand. I nodded furiously, choking out a laugh that was a half sob.
Yes, sweetheart. I'm safe. You saved me.
I gathered him into my arms, careful of the IV lines, and buried my face in his hair. He smelled like home, like everything good that I thought I'd lost.
You're my little hero.
I whispered, holding him tighter as his heartbeat pressed against my chest. The world outside could keep spinning, but in that moment, all I could feel was his warmth, his life, his courage. My little boy was awake, and for the first time,